This is Straight Talk with Atlanta native Greg Penn, the Preacher Man, and his sidekick Shannon Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fan, the Preacher Man.
Welcome tonight to Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fan, the Preacher Man. Hey, listen, tonight we have the program we'll have with us tonight. Shannon will be back with us. Big Papa will. Miss C will be with us. Ron will not be with us tonight because we have technical difficulty. But tonight discussion will be around what's going on in the country. There's a lot going on. We hear that now Donald Trump is going to abide by the judge's order, and USDA is going to start filling those food stamp cards, those SNAP benefits for those individuals. We're going to talk about that, talk a little bit about what's really going on and with the voting this past Tuesday. And the thing that we can see kind of a shift. God is moving. So Shannon, I'll be back with you right after Miss C with her news and information. Miss C.
Hi, I'm Miss C with your 3-minute news blast or more or less. Hope you're doing well. I have some information that I want to share with you. So I don't really have news, about what's happening in the community per se, but I do have information that I wanted to share because right now we have several critical situations that are going on. We have the people that are recovering from the storm over in Jamaica, and we have people who are without resources, without food, without money, without jobs. And so I thought maybe that I could give you some information where you can call to get food or find out about places that offer it. You can call 1-800-5-HUNGRY. That's 1-800, the number 5, and hungry, HUNGRY. And I call that number myself, and you have to follow the prompts. It'll ask you if you're looking for food, shelter. They also handle insurance issues, and they have a lot of resources. You can also go to the National Association of Community Health Centers, and they have information on insurance, and they help you find centers. I didn't know that they had so many all over the country. They have centers where you can get information. That's the National Association of Community Health Centers, and you can go online to their website. It's NACHC.org. That's NACHC.org, and that stands for the National Association of Community Health Centers. And they have a lot of information on there. And you can also do your own search on the website. on the internet, and locate centers that are helping people. There are a lot of them that are opening up to offer assistance in, housing, food, insurance, and just a lot of help that are available. People are really stepping up to try and help everybody. And I do hope that you take advantage of some of these services that are offered. I know it takes a lot of time sometimes to make the connection, but just try it and see. That's 1-800-5-HUNGRY, or the National Association of Community Health Centers. That is their website is NACHC.org. And listen, if you have any event that you'd like for us to announce on Miss C, just email it to us at straighttalknews1362@gmail.com. That's straighttalknews1362@gmail.com. And listen, before we leave, I'd like for you to do 4 things. I'd like for you to like us, and I'd like for you to subscribe to us, and also leave comments. Let us know how we're doing, okay? And if share us. Don't keep Straight Talk News to yourself. Let everybody know what you know. We are Straight Talk News with Bishop Greg Phan and Pastor Shannon Jones, okay? And I'm Miss C, and I'm going to see you next time. And in the meantime and in between time, may the Lord God bless you real good. Thank you. Bye.
Straight Talk with yours to the Greg Phan, the preacher man, and Shannon E. Big Papa Jones. Big Papa Jones. Let me put my headphones on, Big Papa Jones. I got to put my heads on. You know, you got me all obligated. I'm so glad to see you tonight.
Good to see you, Bishop.
I'm so glad. Hold on for a minute, Shannon. Don't say a word till I put my earphones on. Don't you say a word, because I got something I need to say to you, and I need to put my headphones on so I can hear clearly what you're saying back to me. Okay? So don't you say a word until I give you a signal. Now you say a word.
Where's Ron tonight? Y'all in contract negotiation?
No, Ron and I he's not in contract negotiation. My phone messed up and I couldn't call Ron and let him know we were going to be on tonight. But I mean, that's what that is. You know, Ron is somebody special, man. I'm telling you now. Ron is somebody special.
That's why I wonder where he is.
Hey, Shannon, getting into the program. Let's get into the program. We miss Ron tonight. I regret that I wasn't able to get him, but I got to figure out how to get it in my phone because, it locked. I know that was my passcode to get in, but it just locked them and let me in. So you know how they do these Apple. Oh, you don't have Apple phone. You have Android phone. Do what now?
Your phone was doing a J. Edgar Hoover earlier today.
It was, wasn't
and
it?
With this administration, and I think you need to either get a burner phone, go get another phone, because look like they J. Edgar Hoovered your phone. It was cutting on and off, doing all kind of crazy stuff.
It was, wasn't it?
So,
it really was.
There's tapped and there's hold. Your phone ain't been tapped. Your phone is held.
Boy.
Is in the grips of the J. Edgar Hoover people.
Man, that's what I get for fooling with you. Hey, Shannon, but we've been talking about, the food SNAP program, and look like Donald Trump has finally woke up and say, hey, I better start doing right, because it look like the court is coming after me and going to make me do what I'm supposed to do, that I don't have the power that I thought that I had, that I'm not that king that I thought I was, that there are checks and balances. And now he's having the USDA to now load those cards, those SNAP cards.
In a family, there's always one or two that they put on the train and send off to the big university. And then those ones graduate and go and work at places like the White House or the president. But they got cousins still back down there at the train depot. And I believe Stephen Miller and all of them cousins been calling the White House saying, look, the kids is hungry. Y'all need to open this government up now, because all of us didn't get on that train and go to that Ivy League school. All of us don't work at the White House. All of us are not rich. All of us ain't on Wall Street. And so 75% of the population of the United States is white, and about 35% of them are on federal SNAP programs. And then there are even more that are on other forms of welfare. So they're reaching out to their cousins and counterparts saying, open this government up. And if you need a picture of that, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's, all her cousins and all of them are not, of her ilk, and they're reaching out to her, my cousin, the big congresswoman, and saying, what can we do? We're starving down here. So I believe that ultimately what's happening is that the president is losing his chorus.
Well, I agree with you. I think that the most powerful is not as powerful as he thought he was, or think he is. And even to the tariffs. I mean, they're coming out there. I'm saying you don't have the ability to do what you're doing, and you know, we got to rein you in because you messing up this whole economy. I mean, first of all, you're pricing us out. We told you if you impose these tariffs, this money, these costs will be passed on to the consumer, and the consumer won't be able to afford. You're going to put businesses out of business, and that has happened. You have been unemployed. 350,000 female are now unemployed, and all those people that you laid off in the federal government that provided services for the citizens of this country. Now we got millions of people that are now unemployed, as opposed to, you know, it used to be how many people we have gotten employed, how many people are employed now, but now we're looking at how many people are unemployed, how many people need jobs. I mean, to just go to work, to be able to keep a roof over their head, food on their table, to pay their bills. I mean, it is crazy. And with all the promises that he made that he was going to do all these things, America was going to be great, and we're gonna don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about paying taxes on tilt. We knew when that came up that was a lie. We ain't gonna have to pay no taxes on tilt, and people fell for the okie doke. They fell for the okie doke. Now people are suffering, and I'm not a party person, but the party is suffering because, as you know, well, in this last election, look how many people lost in this not midterm election, but this off-term election. How many governors were elected? How many mayors were elected that were a part of the Democratic Party? But I don't buy into that Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is going to be our savior. I don't buy into that either. I don't buy into that narrative that they're going to be our savior, because everybody bad is watching. Everybody bad is watching.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. In fact, you said something about labor statistics. You notice that the Bureau of Labor Statistics, you're not getting those reports. So, you know, it's Friday, and generally on Friday morning, you get the Bureau, you get the Bureau of Labor Statistics report on where the country is economically with jobs and job loss, and you haven't been getting that. So they have shut that down so that you don't get that report. You talked about the tariffs. Well, did you hear those conservative justices, associate justices on the U.S. Supreme Court, that were beginning to question the efficacy or the intelligence of removing this power from Congress, which is there to provide oversight of the executive, and putting all this power and this authority, vesting it in the executive. And then on the other side of that, the concern was not that you just would empower the executive, but now the government has made trillions of dollars in tariffs just that quick. That's what Trump keeps talking about. We said we're making a lot of money. So they made that amount of money, and now they have to return all that tax money back. And so the question becomes, well, should you know? And Amy Coney Barrett, Justice Barrett, said, you know, this is a big mess. Well, it is a mess, but the Supreme Court can't be concerned with the logistics of how highway robbery money was received and how it goes back. We have to be, at the end of the day, we have to be a nation of laws. And if the Supreme Court shirks on its duty of being the chief, the highest court of the land, and in preserving legal interpretation of the Constitution, then we would be in a very serious set of circumstances, situation. So, you know, it's very interesting when you look at what is being said through the news of this past week and what's going on. Basically, this administration is running a 3-card Monte, and you know, they're trying to get you to find the card. And they're flipping over cards and doing everything that they can to move things around and shuffle. I mean, the president of Hungary was here today talking about a meeting. And the question becomes, well, when was the president of Hungary coming? I mean, what is this about? So this president just keeps having audiences as though he's a king or a pope or an emperor or something. And at the same time that he's doing that, 42 million people in this country are hungry. At the same time he's doing that, everybody that's in the air is in danger tonight because you have air traffic controllers that are stressed out and broke and worried about how they're going to meet their financial needs. And at the same time, they're doing the job of 2 and 3 air traffic controllers because the traffic controllers are calling out. You have air traffic controllers door dashing today, and the president is meeting with the president of Hungary and talk. So what the hell is going on? And we just we just have a big old mess, and he's doing the Donald Trump two-step, and it's not working. We saw the election this week. It was a landslide election this week, and Trump said, "Well, they said it happened because I was not on the ballot." Like hell, you were not on the ballot. This was a referendum on Donald Trump.
Yeah, it was against him. It was definitely against him.
In fact, he was the only thing and the only one on the ballot.
Yeah. For the Democratic Party, yes, he was. Yes, he was. I want to just you unpacked a lot of stuff there too. I just really want to kind of
Bishop,
go back
not just Democrats,
right.
Not just Democrats, but Republicans. Those numbers wouldn't have been that. Those numbers show that independents and moderate Republicans crossed over to send the message.
Well, I do agree, but they do that a lot. Sometimes they will support a Democrat, a Republican will support a Democrat just to get him in office and then turn around and then turn them back out of office. We've seen that play before with Denise Majette, so we know how they do to get rid of Cynthia McKinney. So we know that play. We know that play. We've seen it play before, that crossover vote. But let me just go back and unpack a couple of things that you said in terms of the labor statistics and what's going on with labor. Well, when you have a labor president who supports the present president, I mean the federal union president, who said that people need to go back to work and just do their jobs, and I mean just blatantly said that, even though the government is shut down. But the reality of it is people got to eat. People got to eat. People got to pay their rent. That's slave labor. That's slave labor. When you asking a person to go to work 12 hours a day or 10 hours a day or ever how many hours a day, but you tell them that they're not going to get paid. But I need for you to go to work. Now, Donald Trump is making billions of dollars. When you're talking about the tariff, billions of dollars are being put in his pocket and his cronies' pockets off of these tariffs. That's just real talk. You got him sitting up there talking about he wants $230 million of taxpayers' money because of something that he did wrong, he had to go to court for and had to pay lawyers to defend him, to keep him from going to jail, which looked like to me Jack Smith and Judge Chutkan is moving to still deal with him, and look like the Supreme Court is looking to move away from that hard line that a president has immunity because they're looking at what he did. Actually, what did Donald Trump do? Did he actually command these people to go and overtake the White House and stop the election results? Did he really do it? We know he did it. We know he did it because you had people who testified and took a plea deal to get a better deal for being a surrogate for him. So we know he did it. We know he did it. But we keep sitting up here letting him talk about the election was fixed. That election was fixed. That election is over with. That election was not fixed. It was a fair election. And in every place that they looked at it, it was bad. Now, you know that Fulton County today, that they're asking Fulton County to give back again and look at the results of Fulton County's votes back in 2020. They have all, they have how many times they looked and investigated and turned over the votes in Fulton County and found out that everything was straight. I mean, why are we going back revisiting this? I'll tell you why we're going back and revisiting, Shannon. We do not want to deal with the Epstein file. We do not want to open up the things that people need to know. It doesn't make any difference if it's a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, or a male or female, whoever is in that file that did what they did, just like his brother did, Prince Charles did to his brother, right? So, I mean, Prince Andrew, he took a bold stand against his own brother and said, listen, you did it. This is your punishment. This is your punishment. We need to be able to do this in America, that if someone is in that file, if someone did that to these young ladies, and we don't know if any boys was even involved in it because it ain't came out, but that could be a scenario too. But bring out the file. Stop playing with it. Stop coming up with all these tactics to throw us off of the Epstein case. All these tactics to throw us off the Epstein case. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, to much of her credit, Marjorie Taylor Lie, is standing up and she's telling stuff. She's saying, open up the file. Open up the government. Do those things that's right by the people. Do it. And let's look at insurance, because my family, my personal kids, their insurance is going to go up. Have you seen the insurance rates that they are putting out now? It's ridiculous. And we live in a country of plenty. We're supposed to be the wealthiest country in the world, but yet we have more people that's suffering than a little bit. As we know, Veterans Day is coming up on Tuesday. Do you know that the state, and one of the representatives said that today, that the state is now saying they're not giving vouchers to veterans, that these veterans have to get their vouchers from the counties that they're in or the cities that they're in to get housing. I mean, really, right. and the people have worked, they fought for this country. Many of them fought for this country. And then you're going to treat them like that?
And the municipalities and counties are waitlisted. Right. So they have to get in the back of the line. They were put on the front line to protect the nation, but they put on the back of the line for food, put on the back of the line for shelter, put on the back of the line for healthcare, put on the back of the line for respect and for dignity, but were put on the front of the line to make sure that the people that put them in the back of the line could have their jobs and have their liberty and have their lives.
And this is where we are. I talked to a young serviceman the other day, and I was teasing him. I said, "Oh man, when you were a kid, you would give him. I did all these things for you. Church did all these things for you. Now you're in the service. Can you send a little donation to the church?" He said, Pastor, he said, I didn't get it. Last month I got a partial check. And it's not to say I'm going to get a check at all this month. I mean, and he's presently serving. How do you think they feel about protecting this country when they have taken an oath to the Constitution, but they still have bills even in the service? They have bills and families they got to take care of back home. I mean, it's just crazy.
Can I tell you what we need to be paying attention to?
Yeah,
I was looking at a darked out person, darked out meaning that you couldn't see their face, on a podcast, and they were talking about the fact that they had just recently flown, and you can't take but so much water on the plane. Well, this person had inadvertently in a meeting taken a whole big bottle of water and put it in their travel book bag. And when they went through, it was in the bag. And when they got on the plane to reach down, they noticed that not this size, but the bigger size water bottle was in the bag. It went through the machine and it wasn't noticed, because perhaps at the time that it went through the machine, either one, the TS agent didn't give a darn, or two, the TS agent was busy looking at something else, because 3 or 4 other TS agents that perhaps should have been there are door dashing today or doing whatever they have to do. And I'm not dogging them at all. They are surviving and doing whatever they have to do. Or they might have needed a mental health break, Or that TSA agent might have just watched that bottle go through, and while it was going through, they were thinking about, how am I going to get home tonight? I'm on E when I pulled in here. How am I going to feed the children tomorrow? How am I going to tell Johnny that I'm not going to be able to pay for him to play football this year, or that I'm not going to be able to continue with this lesson, or my child that's in college, I'm not going to be able to prepare the money for them to have in January, or that I'm not going to be able to do Thanksgiving this year, or who's going to help me to do Thanksgiving this year, and don't even think about Christmas. And where are we going to live tonight or next week when the landlord is still saying that the rent and the mortgage is still due? The mortgage companies are still calling for the money. The black tow trucks are still looking for the cars of the TSA workers and the air traffic controllers that are trying to go into the grocery stores and see what they can muster up for dinner, walk out, and a tow truck is driving away with their car because of the political gamesmanship that is being played with real people's lives. And that water, the reason why they don't want this to go on is because there can be a toxic mix, and a bomb could have been a bomb. And how many times, Bishop, is that happening now? And so we thinking the threat is that they're watching the planes go, but the threat could be what's getting on those planes. And, the Chinese they do not have a word for crisis. The closest thing that they have for that is opportunity. And so you might have an enemy somewhere that sees the weakness of this as an opportunity. Oh, but King Trump's palace guard is still being paid. The security that's around him are essential. The people that are in the White House are essential. The congressional staff is essential. So they don't have to look at the face of the suffering people. That's how that man could say tonight that that prices are down when grocery prices are going up, because he doesn't have to look in the face of people who are really suffering. And they're missing what happened the other night. And what happened the other night is a precursor to what's going to happen in the midterms a year from last Tuesday.
Well, there's a lot of things that I believe that this administration, and I heard T.L. Hughley say this. He said, how can we call ourselves a Christian nation when Jesus Christ fed the hungry, when Jesus Christ clothed the naked, when Jesus Christ looked out for the least, the less, the lost, and the left out? But we are leaving people out. And not only are we leaving people out, we're putting people out. And yet we're the richest country in the world. Somewhere there's some hypocrisy in that. There's some hypocrisy in that. And we can't lay it all at the feet of Donald Trump, because every leader has to have some followers. And there are followers who are following him that's allowing him to do the things that he's doing and have done. Mike Johnson closing down Congress to keep, and I'm going to say it again, to keep from the young lady being appointed so they can look at the Epstein file. A duly elected person, we're going to shut down because they said before they were even elected that if they were elected, they're going to vote with them to move to open up the Epstein file. So certainly after they get elected, they've already made a promise. That's what they're going to do to the people. Now we must shut down 30 some days, 35, 36 days. They've been shut down and still getting a check and still getting a check, to your point where TSA workers are asked to work without getting a check. Well, people who are in federal prison, guards who probably working ain't getting a check. I mean, I'm just saying is that there are people who I would say, if you're talking about essential workers Every air traffic controller is an essential worker. Every
You think?
TSA worker is an essential worker.
You think?
Because when you talk about transportation is important. When you got people at the holiday season traveling on planes and people being delayed and can't move, they stuck because of you're not going to pay people who are essential, because those that you call that are essential are those that are only essential for your purpose, not for the public purpose. But when we talk about these are our tax dollars, Shannon, these are our tax dollars. Every time you get paid, they take out taxes. Every time you get a check, they take out taxes. So that's taxation without representation.
Every time you buy a stick of bubble gum, every time you go buy a bottle of wine, they take out taxes. Cigarettes, they take out taxes. Toothpaste and everything else. But Bishop, could you imagine something? Could you imagine that on September the 12th, when they looked at Logan Airport and they said that these 15 Saudi attackers came into the nation, and they said we have to do something about airport security? And so Homeland Security, there was a shift, and then Homeland Security Secret Service was taken from Treasury and put under this new division called Homeland Security, and they created the TSA and the TSA officers. Could you imagine that 24 years ago on 9/11, in the wake of what happened after 9/11, or what, could you imagine them saying that TSA security is non-essential?
I can't imagine it.
But you know what?
I can't.
And that's because they don't do
ludicrous.
what the Jews do. The Jews said, never forget. Never forget. Because if you forget, it will happen again. And so the games that they're playing, they have forgotten what this nation went through and what it said that it would never allow to happen again. That's why you have to take off your shoes, take off your belt, and almost get dressed and strip in order to go through, because they were saying it would never happen again. But now King Trump has created this situation, and he has decided, because he flies on a secured plane, that he doesn't have to worry about it. So guess what? The essential people are the people who serve me and the people who I have to see. And everybody else that I don't have to see, they're not essential.
Well, I do. I'm going to hit one last subject, and then we're going to wrap it up. Dick Cheney, the Vice President of the United States, because of his daughter, Liz Cheney, who was against him, he didn't even want to fly the flag at half-mast.
Didn't even want to acknowledge the fact. The press secretary said he is aware that she believes that he's aware that Mr. Cheney has died.
I mean, the lack of respect, the lack of understanding this country. I believe now, Shannon, his mama was right. When his mother said, when she said, never elect him to any office. And his niece, I believe she was right. When she said, my uncle is a Gnostic. He should never be in office. Now, these are people who are close to him and close to him who said these things. And yet people believed him, believed that he was going to make America great again. How was he going to make America great again? He has shown us in less than a year what his ideology, his philosophy is about making America great again. If this is making America great again, I think that many people down in these little rural towns who have lost hospitals, who have lost and don't have internet services anyway, that can't get it now with the digital divide, that left out. Right? I think that farmers who voted for him that soybean crops are being spoiled and they can't sell them. If this making America great again, I can't see it being great again. I think I would use another word. This is making America worse again, worse than it ever was.
making it worse. And you know what? It's so interesting that Dick Cheney lived to see the danger of what he created.
Mm-hmm.
It was Dick Cheney when he was in his 30s and he worked for Donald Rumsfeld in the Nixon administration that he and Donald Rumsfeld began working on the creating the stream that would be known as the unitary executive theory. And so that's when Nixon made the statement that if the president does it, it means it's not illegal. He was trying to talk about this centralized government. Well, then Dick Cheney becomes the youngest chief of staff in the history of the country, under Gerald Ford as his chief of staff when he was 33 years old. And he begins flirting with that. They lose the election to Carter. And then after Carter, Nixon comes in. And then, after Carter, Reagan comes in. And then as soon as the Reagan administration begins to end, of course, Nixon is in the Congress, Cheney is in the Congress at this time. And then when Bush comes in, then he brings Cheney in as his Secretary of Defense. And that's during Desert Storm. You remember that old storm in Norman,
right.
When Colin Powell. And so fast forward from Bush 1, or George Herbert Walker Bush Clinton, and then George W. Bush. George W. Bush brings Cheney in and says, help me find a vice president. And then he makes Cheney his vice president, and Cheney becomes at this point the most powerful vice president in the history of the country. And he creates he creates an interpretation of the unitary executive theory. And what that is that the president of the United States begins to bring in all centralized power. It all centralizes under the executive. And the power of the Congress is eroded. The power of the court is eroded. And all power to be able to lead the nation and to be able to make a decision just like that, to do what he wants to do and leave it up to the Supreme Court to argue whether he has the authority to do it. But by the time they find that out, I'm down the road. It was Dick Cheney that created that, and he lived long enough. First administration, Trump didn't have this kind of power because he had some adults in the room that said, no, man, you can't do this, because he had serious Republicans, conservatives. He got rid of them, and he brought in sycophants for this administration, and they would bow. And that's why he says, sir. They say, sir, to me, sir, this, sir, that. That's the narcissism. And he wants everyone to bow down to him. Dick Cheney lived long enough in his 84 years to see the danger of what he created, to empower himself as the most powerful vice president in the history of the country. Did you know, and I'm going to shut up after this, Dick Cheney's, the vice president is the president of the United States Senate. He has an office in the old executive office building. He has an office in the West Wing. He has an office in the United States Senate. Dick Cheney, because of the unitary executive theory, had an office in all those places, but he also had an office in the House of Representatives. He also had an office in the Central Intelligence Agency. He also had an office in the National Security Agency. He had offices in all these places as the vice president of the United States, because at any given moment, he wanted to be able to do what they did to Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with you rich Iranian. He had nothing to do with the bombing of 9/11. But Al-Sawi, who was who was an Afghan who was connected to bin Laden, fled Afghanistan and moved his operation to the outskirts of Iraq. Saddam Hussein did not know him. But because he did that, they connected him to Saddam Hussein to go back and to do what they needed to do, which was to finish the neocons war from the Bush George Herbert Walker Bush administration 8 years prior to Clinton. So I say all that to say that this centralized power, this executive king that was created by Dick Cheney and Don Rumsfeld and Wolfowitz and all of those neocons. And Donald Trump is ignorant to the reality that it was the man that he's snubbing his nose at today that allowed him to turn around and tear down the White House East Wing that contained the first ladies, that contained the White House theater, movie theater, and everything else. The power to do that came from the machinations of a Dick Cheney, and he doesn't even know it.
Well, you know, whether he do or don't, I know he can't stand his daughter. So that's real talk. That's real talk. Well, thank you so very much for your analysis of the paralysis tonight here on Straight Talk with yours to the Greg Fan, the Preacher Man, and Shannon E. Jones. Join us Monday at the CBC, the Concerned Black Clergy of Atlanta at 11 o'clock. Special guest will be Ife. She's with the Georgia Budget Analysis group, and she's going to come to talk about Georgia's budget and some of the things that's going on and where some of the money may be that can help the least, the less, the lost, and the left out. Well, thank you so much for being a part, Shannon, as always, and being a partner of Faith Strategies. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get out of here, and we're going to say to you, you have a blessed evening, you have a blessed night, or you have a blessed day whenever you view this. And remember, this ain't been nothing but straight talk around the world with news and information with George to the Great Fan, the Preacher Man, and Shannon E. Jones, Miss C, and Ron Allen, who will be back with us next week right here on Straight Talk. Well, you stay tuned and don't you go nowhere. Tell others about us. Don't begin to subscribe to our channel, like us, can make comments, and do share. You can go to Straight Talk News 1362 at gmail.com. And if you'd like to be a guest on the program, we'd love to have you. And just let Miss C know, and we will definitely get you on. This ain't been nothing but what, Shannon? Straight Talk.
Want to be a guest on Straight Talk? Email Greg Fan at FANN922 at Comcast.net or call 404-308-0795. Join us again for another episode of Straight Talk with Shannon Jones and Greg Fan, the Preacher Man.